The biggest lie in the music industry is that you'll eventually get your rights back. They tell you that under the law, you can actually reclaim your rights in 35 years. But here's the secret that they're betting your career on. That by the time you get the masters back, they've already squeezed all of the juice out. So think about it. If your fans are 13 when your song hits, they're actually 48 when you finally own it. And they aren't the tastemakers anymore. They're the back in my day crowd. And the new kids, they don't care about your 35-year-old classic. The industry lets you own the death of your song because they already owned its life. So if you want to actually make money, you have to understand the 3 peaks of value that happen before the juice runs out. So first, let's talk about phase 1, which is months 0 through 18. Phase 1 is what we call escape velocity. And just like a rocket trying to break Earth's gravity, a song needs an incredible amount of force in the first 18 months to break what's called public consciousness. Now in this window, your song isn't just music, it's a high stakes campaign, and you are fighting for active ears, people searching for your name or adding you to their personal playlist and following you on all socials and all of that stuff. The problem is the sheer noise. Every single day, 100,000 new songs are uploaded to Spotify. To even be noticed, you have to pay what's called the visibility tax. And this isn't just money. It's the mental cost of being a content creator first and a musician second. And if you don't trigger the algorithm in the first few weeks, well, the platform stops showing you to new people. So you just have to keep trying until you get it right. After all, this is an 18-month window, so don't give up yet. But you aren't just competing with other artists. You're competing with Mr. Beast, you're competing with Netflix and other top influencers and every viral meme, including television. Now, if you don't break through that wall in the first 18 months, the industry considers your song dead air, if you will. But before you get in your feelings, let me explain, because what's happening is you're fighting the dated clock here. So this is exactly why labels push for a fast break. You know what I'm saying? They don't want a slow burn. They want a controlled explosion along the way. So they pour fuel on the fire with, but not limited to, priority pitching and getting your songs on tons of editorial playlists across multiple platforms, influencer seeding, paying creators to use your music before it even drops, and tons of radio saturation, all types, digital, internet, in-store audio radio, terrestrial radio, satellite radio, forcing the song into people's cars until they know the lyrics word for word. I'm not saying you can't do this on an independent scale, it's totally possible, but they know that the cost of breaking a song increases every day it's out. So if they can't make you a star in 18 months, their ROI or return on investment plummets and they move on to the next artist or next song. So here's the secret the industry doesn't tell you. Phase 2 and phase 3 are only profitable if you win phase 1. If your song doesn't hit a certain threshold of fame in these first 18 months, it doesn't become a prime asset. It becomes a lottery ticket at best. And the difference is a phase 1 winner has a predictable income stream from sync and nostalgia later. But if you have a lottery ticket because you failed phase 1, then you are now just hoping that 10 years from now, a random TikToker finds your song, or a music supervisor happens to stumble across it, or someone who was deep in the niche said, I remember that song and let me put it on. So you go from being a business owner to a gambler. Without that initial notoriety, there is no foundation for phase 2, which is sync, or phase 3, which is the retroactive period, which is something people don't know about. So you can build on that. So if you beat phase 1, the song becomes a permanent ATM that pays you for the next 30 years. And you can negotiate better terms because you've proven that you are a proven earner and you bought your way into the history books. So you're now a legacy artist in the making. But if you lose at phase 1, it doesn't mean life is over for the song, but it does mean that you're branded as an artist who can't convert, making it harder to get future deals for yourself. Then you're left with an unrecouped balance on you or the label that follows you to your next project. Ultimately, your song becomes data debris, taking up space on a server, but never reaching a large amount of human ears. I mean, everybody goes through this. Now, is everybody going to be a superstar? No, they're not. But the same rules apply for each level of the game. At the end of the day, the label is just trying to squeeze the orange as fast as possible with the skin still bright. So if you don't hit big now, they toss the fruit aside long before you ever get the chance to own the juice. You know what I mean? Now, let's talk about phase 2, years 1.5 through 5, the sync and stagnation years. Now, phase two is where the public and the industry stop seeing eye to eye here. To the general public, a song is old news by month 18 all the way up to month 24. So it's been played out and the memes have died, and the AI DJ on Spotify, which is programmed to keep you tuned in, rarely reaches back further than 3 years to find your favorites, if you've ever noticed that. You know what I'm saying? But to the sync industry, TV, film, and advertising, your song is just hitting its stride. Music supervisors view the last 5 years as current, meaning they want something that sounds modern but has already been vetted by the public, in some cases. But you now have a 5-year window where your song is still fresh enough for a Nike ad or a Netflix trailer. And even if it wasn't a hit, the sound is still good enough so that it doesn't sound dated. Remember I said you were fighting a dated clock? The problem is that for most artists, phase two is a financial ghost town. And even if you land a massive sync, say a $40,000 placement in a car commercial, you probably won't see a dime of it if you're signed to a label, because that label takes that entire sync check to recoup the marketing debt from phase one, and for independents to pay off that old credit card that's still haunting you, because I know you got one. But if you didn't hit escape velocity in the first 18 months, you are now praying for a miracle, okay? You're hoping a music supervisor happens to be the 1 in a million person who found your failed track and thinks it fits a specific scene. You're hoping, everybody hopes for this, trust me. However, while you're waiting for that phone to ring, your revenue is still dropping. So you still get recurring radio spins here and there, and fans will play it back on streaming here and there, but the traction is 10% of what it used to be. You know what I mean? We've fallen that far. So the solution at this point is to stop treating your music like a diary and start treating it like a service. The artists who survive phase two are the ones who have their instrumental, their stems, and their clean versions ready to go at a moment's notice for any submission or license play for any reason. And since you can't predict which song will hit the sync lottery, well, you need a high volume of vetted songs in the ecosystem. Album cuts as well. Everything is up for grabs here. So smart artists end up bypassing the label's lazy sync department where they can, depending on the deals they have, and work with independent sync agents who specialize in this 5-year sweet spot. Because if you don't make it in this phase, you remain in the red, meaning the label owns your labor for the next 3 albums, or you'll just get dropped and they will acquire your masters just like everyone else who didn't make it. The public calls it dated and the industry calls it unsellable. Finally, your streaming royalties will drop below the cost of your distributor's annual fee if you're independent, if it didn't already. And to prevent that, you might want to watch this video right here. But if you make it, a few big syncs finally clear your debt, meaning phase 3, which are the sample years or the Renaissance period, the retroactive period, will be 100% profit. And your song becomes the go-to track for a specific mood in Hollywood. And not only that, it gets cleared multiple times because cleared tracks are known to be cleared again, especially if the process was easy for a supervisor and that word spreads like wildfire because it was easy to clear. Now, finally, the recurring spins provide a baseline of income that keeps you from needing a day job. And that's what we want. That's why we want to come out the gate shooting fast. Now, at the end of the day, phase 2 is the industry's recovery ward. They use these years to claw back every dollar they spent on you. And if you haven't built enough momentum to outrun your debt, you're just working for free to fill your own pockets or to fill their pockets, depending on if you signed a deal or not. Doesn't matter. Everybody's in the same boat here, okay? So far we covered escape velocity and the sync years, but this next part is where most artists and their teams lose, which is the retroactive Renaissance period. So stay with me. And side note, if you need a strong business foundation to run your record label on so you can take full advantage of everything I'm talking about here, grab my 60-day record label system so you can start or boost your career today. Trust me, you're gonna need it if you wanna grow. Now, phase 3, which is years 15 through 35, the retroactive Renaissance. You didn't even think you were gonna be in the game this long, did you? Phase 3 is where your song enters the retroactive Renaissance. This isn't about being new or fresh. It's about being timeless. This period operates on a 5-year heartbeat. Every milestone, the 15th, the 20th, the 25th, the 30th, and finally the 35th anniversary, acts as a massive defibrillator for your royalties. Okay? Each anniversary is a business opportunity. Follow me. I'm talking about limited edition vinyl and merch, tapping into the collector market of your original fans, the sample cycle, which is really important. Producers who grew up listening to your songs are now the ones in the studio with the biggest stars in the world. And so they aren't looking for new sounds. They're looking to flip the classics that they loved when they were 13 and the ones that they know can influence the culture, if you will. But then there's the cover effect, because new artists start covering your records to prove their vocal chops or pay homage to you, introducing you to a generation that wasn't even born when that song dropped, or to a new generation who ain't even tuned in to the music like that. But the problem is that this entire renaissance is a house of cards, and it is 100% predicated on the first 18 to 24 months. So if you didn't hit a massive level of notoriety in phase 1, there is no nostalgia to harvest in phase 3. So this is why phase 3 will be a lottery ticket chance again. See, you can't have a 20th anniversary celebration for a song nobody remembers. Producers and sync agents have a collective memory. They look for the songs that defined an era. And if your song was just a minor hit, it gets skipped over for the anthems first, and then they come back to you if they have to settle. Even if your song is sampled, if you signed away your masters and publishing in phase 1, you're just watching a new artist get rich off your ghost, if you will, while you collect the writer's check. Now, the solution in phase 3 is active curation. You're gonna have to get your hands dirty here because the label already stopped working for you a long time ago. So you have to master the anniversary cycle. You or your team shouldn't wait for the label. You should be the one driving the 20-year narrative, reaching out to producers and authorizing reimagined versions of the track and all of that. I'm talking about cleaning the sample path, making it easy for people to use your work. The reason certain songs get sampled 100 times is because the rights holders make the clearance process seamless. If you're hard to reach, they'll just sample the next guy. Or if you're hard to deal with, you know what I mean? Here is the dark truth with this part. The industry pushes these 5-year pulses, the 25th, the 30th, and the 35th, because they're trying to squeeze every last drop out of the orange before they legally have to give it back to you. And they know that at 35 years or year 35, the termination right kicks in. And they want to make sure that by the time the copyright lands back in your hands, the market is completely saturated. The fans are nearing 50 and the sample potential has been exhausted. They aren't celebrating your career. They're liquidating an asset before the lease is up. Now, the upside to this is that hopefully this turns into a pension plan for you. One major sample by a modern superstar can pay more than the song's entire 35-year history. I mean, ask Sir Mix-a-Lot about Anaconda by Nicki Minaj. You become a legacy artist, ensuring you can tour and sell merch for the rest of your life, and you finally get your rights back at year 35. And if you've curated it well, there's enough pulp left from that orange for a quiet retirement. This is why you got to get your hands dirty. It's not just about putting music out on Spotify. But the downside is erasure and the abyss. If the song wasn't big enough in phase 1, it officially ceases to exist in the cultural lexicon. So you try to launch an anniversary campaign, but you realize that the world has moved on entirely. And you get your rights back at year 35 and realize you now own 100% of something that generates roughly $0. Now, at the end of the day, phase 3 is a celebration for the fans, but a clearance sale for the labels. And they will toast to your 25 years of brilliance with one hand while signing off on the final exploitations of your work with the other. However, don't just look at this as a major label thing because, again, as I've said throughout the video, the same thing goes for independent artists as well. So a great phase 1 might be 3 million streams for you. You see? But I don't want you to just watch this and then get all depressed about the 35-year trap. I want you to get active. Even if you haven't hit escape velocity yet, you need to prepare your music to be an asset, not just a file on your hard drive. So here's your 3-step challenge for this week. Step 1 is get your sync ready folder together. Go through your top 5 songs and create a master sync folder. If a music supervisor called you in 10 minutes, could you send them a link? So this is what you'll need: the full mix, the instrumental, and the stems, drums, bass, melody parts, vocal parts, zipped up with metadata added. Put your contact info in there, add the split sheet information in there, and everything it's like in the comment section of the ID3 tag of the AIFF or the MP3 file. Step 2, this is the sample pack. It's a little bit different. If your song didn't break the public consciousness, it can still break the producer consciousness. So take the best 8-bar loop or the cleanest vocal hook from your unreleased records or your failed tracks, if you will, and export them as samples and send them to 5 up-and-coming producers or create a splice pack. You see, you aren't looking for a feature. You're looking to be the ghost in the machine for the next big hit. And so this is very strategic here. Step number 3 is the cover or remix permission. Publicly announce on your socials or in your bio that you are open for covers and remixes. Provide an opt-in link to your acapellas. Don't just give them out. But by making your vocal stems accessible, then you are inviting the retroactive renaissance to start early. So you are planting the seeds for phase 3 before phase 1 is even over. See what I'm saying? The goal is to truly understand what a catalog is and the life it has. The real question isn't, should you do this? It's how much longer can you afford not to work your records or service your records? Now, if you need help with devising a strategy, book a call with me or join our group strategy calls every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time inside the Music Moneymakers community. You can click below to join the school community today. So you might say, but I'm independent. This actually doesn't apply to me. Well, if you think being independent saves you, it doesn't. You're still fighting the same 35-year decay. All you have to do is stop treating your music like a diary and start building a catalog that survives the AI DJ filter, if you will. You know what I mean? And who knows how long that's going to be around. But my music isn't good enough for sync yet. Well, if you think your music isn't sync quality, you're wrong. Supervisors aren't necessarily looking for perfect. They're looking for specific. And all you have to do is organize your files so that when that specific moment comes or you went after it, you're the easiest person to work with. Well, I don't have time to make all these stems, man. Well, if you think you don't have the time now, wait until you're 48 years old trying to find a hard drive that doesn't plug into anything anymore. All you have to do is spend 2 hours on this Sunday. You know what I'm saying? What's it going to cost to keep you being disorganized? You know what I mean? Is it going to cost you the only leverage you have left? At the end of the day, if you were struggling with the anxiety of feeling like your song is dead, or if it doesn't go viral in the first 30 days, or the confusion of seeing your hard-earned sync checks and royalties disappear into a label's recoupment black hole, if you will, you now have the means to become the strategic catalog architect you always wanted to be. That's why you wanted to own your masters in the first place, and now you know why. So, music money makers, if you make music, you should always make money. Log on to musicmoneymakeover.com, grab the 60-day record label system, book a call, join the Music Money Makers community, grab the free stuff, and watch this next video right over here to save your career. And I'll see you next time. Peace.